And we're back on a McFiles Thursday night, late night special. We are grateful to have you back, and we're grateful to have the dear and one and only, the absolute greatest, Jeemes Akers. And yes, he paid me money to say that, but we won't get into that issue. That's between me and him. It's good to see you tonight, buddy. How you doing? It's been a while. We hadn't had you on this week, and we sorry we missed you the other night, but we ran a little late with a previous guest. But it sure is good to see you on this Thursday. You've become a weekly staple to the show, and as Johnson would say, McDonald, if I had my way about it, I would staple you to the show. So, we're just grateful to have you. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing fine, Chris. Good to be with you and your audience.
It's good to see you, man. Listen, a lot of stuff going on. We've had so much breaking news just in the last 24 hours. I wanted to bring you on because you are a CIA analysis and of operations, former and retired now, and I know that you and Brad both are aware of some of the dangers that we've seen around this globe. And you were more of an analysis person. He was more of a field person. But I feel like that the situation down in Cuba, James, is newsworthy tonight. Fidel Castro's brother, Raul, was indicted today for the 1996 killings of Americans. They proved that Cuba was behind the bombing of that plane. And it seems to me that he's not playing around with these rogue dictators and these rogue nations. He's cleaning out the Western Hemisphere of fascism. And I know people can argue whether we're the policeman, but I think that for the people of Cuba, it's by all indications, the only people that are unhappy about this tonight is Bernie Sanders and the left here in America and CNN. Everybody else is cheering this because they see that Cuba could be the next domino to fall, and that again takes the China influence out of this hemisphere more and more, and that's a good thing, is it not?
That's a good thing from a strategic perspective. It's a good thing, but it's also a good thing for the people of Cuba. I mean, the people are suffering down there, and you have an economy that's on the verge of collapse, and just one problem set after another, and it's about time it turned around, I think.
Was you expecting it to take this long to do this, or do you think this is the right time to do it? We've got the Iranian situation. Look, by all indications, I got a gut feeling that we could be back in conflict with them after Memorial Day. I don't think Trump's going to play around with this too much longer. I think he's going to give them after Memorial Day and then wrap this thing up by June, because he's giving them every chance they can to come to the table with good faith, and everything that they're offering is just a bunch of crap. But you got Cuba, Iran, you got Venezuela. I wouldn't doubt Colombia is not on their radar, and I think there's just a new sheriff in town. Is there not, buddy? I mean, we're getting down to business, and I sort of like it. I know not everybody does, but I'm grateful we got a president that cares about this. And we had a guest on tonight that was talking about socialism and the dangers of it and earlier, and I think that it's a very dangerous threat to the world and our country within. But I tell you, the more these dictatorships go down, the freer the people are, and I think that's what God's always intended.
Well, yes, we talked about that, I think, the last time I was on. Yeah, there's just a different worldview when you're talking about people ascribing to a philosophy where they have to find an oppressor, which is what Marxism is when you scratch it deep enough, somebody else to blame for your problems. And I know several years ago, one of the my prized possessions I'm looking at right now on a bookshelf over here is a picture of my wife and I with Margaret Thatcher. We went and when I was out at the College of the Ozarks, she came out there for a special program with the people, and she had one of the great quotes. Socialism works fine as long as you don't run out of somebody else's money to spend. And I've always sort of taken that to heart. That's just the absolute truth. And with Mandami and all of these sort of, in my view, sort of nut jobs that have somehow got a hold of credibility at the voting box. I don't know what these people are thinking of, but turning out of our colleges, college professors, all this leftist leaning stuff, when the truth is that when all of this bears fruit, and when these far leftists take over, it has been a failure every time for the people, and it turns to a different sort of a class society with the people taking it in the neck every time, and that's the case in spades in Cuba. And it's been a long time coming, and I hope things turn around.
I do too, buddy. Do you are you concerned how? And we've talked about this too. And you know, I guess this has been the theme tonight because it's we didn't have a chance to talk to Franklin about this before, but since we're talking about Cuba, Cuba's a socialist country. But have you also been concerned how deep entrenched the Italians of socialism have reached into America, especially our young people? And it's not being they're not getting it from the pie in the sky, James. They're getting it from adults. They're getting it from people like Bernie Sanders, AOC, other Marxists that are in our government, Goldman, Murphy, all these Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries, Maxine Waters, Pelosi, all of them, Newsom, Whitmer. If you look at the theology, there's very few. I'm not saying there's no Republicans that push it, because there are. There's some rhinos. There are some people that are not really Republican conservative. But for the most part, this is an ideology that started on the extreme left, and it's the Marxist wing of the Democrat Party. But it has taken root with our young people in a way that is very dangerous, even though there's a renewal in many corners of our young people. But has it concerned you how fast it's swallowed up America just in the last 5 to 10 years?
Yes, it's definitely taken and captured the Democratic Party, the far left wing has, so that the Democratic Party is virtually unrecognizable. I know there's some that will argue that, but it seems like that's the course to me in terms of politics. And then in terms of education, what is being taught today is pure leftist ideology in many cases, and whether those that ascribe to it are participants in a deliberate effort to undermine this country, or whether they're just sort of unknowing sort of stooges, is an argument that can be made, but the result is the same, that we have young kids that are starting to see things through a leftist prism, without any regard to common sense whatsoever.
Who do you blame for that?
I think it's the educational structure. It is people that were anti authoritarian. Basically, if you had to scratch deep enough, going back to the Vietnam War, when people didn't go serve the country and had a sort of a vendetta against the country for whatever reason, those people got into teaching positions became tenured, couldn't be rooted out, and so you have just sort of this steady diet of leftist ideas that take over all these college and university campuses, and it's one of the tragedies of higher education.
Well, it's I tell you what, isn't it ironic if you think about it? Because socialism is all about other people's money, and I was reading something today about how costly education has gotten. To get a college degree, uh, you basically never stop paying your debt back. I mean, you're gonna be owing that money unless you get a three level figure job to pay you at the beginning. Most of these kids never pay that money back. But the cost of that education, to get a Marxist socialist education that tells you that the rich is evil, and then isn't it just the irony of ironies that you have to be rich to pay that money back? And that's just the oxymoron of the stupidity of socialism, is it not? Because the very education that teaches you this stuff, it isn't self-rigged to benefit the rich.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that plus the another irony is that excuse me, most of these foundations and endowments that are flowing into these schools come from wealthy people, and unwittingly they are supporting the very young people that are going to dig their graves. It is just crazy what's going on.
Let me go back to Cuba a minute. Where do you see all this ending? Do you think they get him extradited here? He's 96. I mean, he's on one foot in the grave as it is and hanging in. What do you think we do with this situation? I know we got the indictment today. Does this mean regime change? Or are they hoping for the same thing they hoped for in Iran, that the people would rise up and basically overthrow the government? Do you think that they're hoping for something similar in Cuba? I saw a senator, we're going to play a clip of her tonight, one of those down in South, representative, I should say, a congresswoman in South Florida tonight, that basically is telling the Cuban people, now's your time. This is it. And basically telling Castro it's time to flee the country. Because if we came and got Maduro, we're going to come get you. It's up to you. There's a new sheriff in town. What do you think all this ends? Does it end with a new Cuba? Or are what are we facing down there?
Well, I'm sure there are some people that think that. I'm not so sure. The American legal system has a way of bringing indictments against people, but getting them into a court of law to face the music is another thing altogether. And I think there's still a ways to go before all of that happens. Um, I think the prime mover in terms of Cuba is going to be when the economy gets to the point where people become so desperate that we may see another wave of immigrants from Cuba, people just fleeing the island when it becomes so bad they're no longer scared of being shot in the back. They need to get out of there. And when that starts to happen, I think things will change in Cuba, but I'm not sure it will until that.
Yeah.
You have a government there that's similar to Iran. They'll do anything to keep a hold of power, and it doesn't matter what happens to the people. And so it's just going to be a desperate situation. I'm not sure we have as many cards to play as we did in Venezuela, and
Okay.
so I think there are a lot of people, especially a huge Cuban expat community in Florida that is hoping for change, but I'm one of those that thinks it's going to be a bit longer before it happens.
Do you think this is both for Iran and Cuba, and really Venezuela? It seems that the government in Venezuela is basically Maduro light. It ain't quite the extreme Maduro, but the lady that's in charge down there she's not she's not a fan of America at all. Do you think that we have similar situations in Iran and Cuba when if we get regime change? Because we've talked about this too many times. You better be careful how you change regimes because the regime that's behind it may be worse than the one you replaced.
Yeah.
Is that a possibility in Cuba? That we've got somebody sitting in the wings down there that while we've gotten rid of the Castros, that they rise up and maybe, show fondness to the Americans and then turn worse than Raul and Fidel.
Yeah, there's always a possibility that you need to be careful what you ask for because what is waiting in the wings is no better than what you have. But there's a real difference, I think, between the Cuban situation and the Iranian situation. In the Cuban situation, you have a virulent ideology that is failing by the day. In Iran, you have a theocratic, uh, religious, extreme element that's it presents a completely different problem set in my mind, and you have a a a group that's in charge in Iran that are motivated by end of world philosophies and a religion that is actually a death cult, and in Cuba. You have a failing ideology, and so it presents, in my mind, a completely different problem set. And so I would make a distinction on those grounds between those two situations. What is similar is that they're happening on Trump's watch, and you have a similarity of timelines. But in terms of the basic ideas that motivate the regime, I think they're completely different.
Okay, fair enough. Speaking of Iran, do you believe that we're back at war with them by the first of the week? I mentioned it a while ago, and we'll move on to domestic stuff after this. But what's your prediction for the situation? We're going to be approaching Memorial Day weekend here starting tomorrow. People are going to start traveling. Gas is approaching $5 a gallon, even here in the hills. I don't remember that kind of gas prices here since the days of Obama back in 2010, 2011, and 2009, buddy. And that is kicking people's trap. But I understand from AAA that people are literally traveling in record numbers this weekend too. So people are going to bite the bullet, but it's going to be a sting in the wallet, and we got to get that Strait of Hormuz straightened out, buddy. Pardon the pun. And I just don't see the Iranians bending without force and pressure.
Well, there's really an interesting wrinkle that's come up. Perhaps the prime driver is not Memorial Day in the United States, but the upcoming Hajj, the holy trek to Mecca for millions of people. That is a prime mover now in the Middle East, and you have the Saudis, which were completely supportive in the early days of Trump's bombing campaign in Iran, that are now being very much a part of the problem these days, and there are a number of theories out there as to why. But one of them certainly is that the Saudi kingdom is the protector of the holy sites of Islam, and the Hajj that's coming up. And the last thing the Saudis want is an American bombing campaign that would disrupt the pilgrimage to Mecca. So there are a lot of things in motion right now the Saudis are denying the United States the use of their bases for refueling aircraft, this, that, and the other. The Pakistanis are coming in and taking the place of a lot of the protective sorts of services that the United States used to offer. You had one of the main cogs, the aircraft carrier Gerald Ford, that after setting a record for time on station had to come back to replenish supplies and this, that, and the other. And so Trump does not have as many cards in his hand to start up a campaign, an aerial campaign in Iran as he did the first time around. So I wouldn't be so quick to think that there's going to be an immediate resumption of the aerial campaign in Iran. That's based on a lot of things I've been reading. Some of these people I agree with, and some of them I don't. But this whole logic about the Saudis getting cold feet because of they feel threatened by what could happen during the Hajj is when looking at the world through an Islamic set of lenses is really an important consideration.
So let me make sure I'm clear on this. So even from the short time, because we just stopped this about a month ago, so things have changed so drastically on the ground. What you're saying is that he doesn't have the green light now from the Arab world to do this as he did just a month ago. Is that right?
That's right, and there are a lot of things in flux and in change in the Middle East, even between the UAE and the Saudis, and we're starting to see sort of before there was sort of a cohesive agreement in terms of supporting the Americans and hold our nose, support the Israelis from the Saudi point of view against the Iranians, and now that sort of front has sort of cracked.
Wow.
And so one of the casualties in that is that Trump no longer has the autonomy of action that he had before. And it remains to be seen what effect that's going to have. But I suggest it may be a very much of a complicating factor in resuming any sort of aerial campaign against the Iranians.
Well, it'll be an interesting next few days, that's for sure. Like that's why we tell everybody you need to pray for your president right now because he needs the wisdom of Job to handle these things. There's no doubt about it. Want to shift gears because some folks may or may not know you live in the general area of where Thomas Massie represented, the representative from Kentucky that went down in a boiling flame of fire quicker than the Reds pitching staff has this year. I had to get that dig in, Akers. He went down in a burning rain of fire Tuesday night, and he's not been a very classy individual. I'm going to get your take on the comment he made in defeat. But I do want to ask you about that district because you said you helped a guy run a campaign in that district. You know that district well. What happened up there? He had been a 7-term representative. And Jeemes, he didn't get beat by a little bit. He got walloped. I mean, he almost lost by 10 percentage points. In politics, that's a slaughter. I mean, that's a slaughter.
Yeah. Well, he went. My understanding is that that district, which runs along the Ohio River from the outskirts of Louisville over to Ashland, Kentucky, about 2 counties deep, the 4th congressional district. And it's really a tough logistical. You have to balance the TV and the other media markets in Louisville, in northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area, and the Ashland area. and it's a tough district to run. Thomas Massie originally won that district because he was one of the early Tea Party candidates, and there was a lot of sympathy there. But like we saw with several others of these individuals, once they get to Washington and dip and taste the Kool-Aid inside the Beltway, they sort of become separated from what originally sent them to Washington and their electorates and what the electorate expects of them. And of course, Massie was never a big Trump fan, and the differences between them became such that Trump actively intervened in that campaign and the primary, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and so you have you know. We see that in Washington all the time. If you're inside the Beltway, you have individuals that go to Washington to represent an idea of the electorate, and they become distanced and calloused to what got them in Washington over time. And I think that was a case of what happened to Massie.
Well, and I'll just add to that, James. Trump won Kentucky by nearly 40 points back in 24, and he stopped representing his constituents. They did not want him up there being an obstructionist. They wanted him to support President Trump. And this is the insane thing about Massie. He got this obsession, and we can think, I got a few words I'd love to use tonight on the show, but this is a family show. But I'll just say that Mrs. Margie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, who are basically House of Representatives, I guess they're the Barbie dolls, or they thought they were Greene's hiding out in Costa Rica with her boy toy. And Boebert is out there campaigning for Massie. And, there's all sorts of rumblings and rumors about that situation. But regardless of that, they put this in his head, somebody did, that the only thing that he needed to campaign on was the Epstein files of a dead pedophile that's been dead for 8 years now, going on 8, 2019, so that's 7 years. And making it his job to insinuate that Trump was hiding information on that list because Trump was on that list, which he wasn't. Trump has made it very abundantly, transparently clear what his relationship with Epstein was. He was one of the early on people that recognized the evil in him, kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. And I don't want to get too deep in the weeds about this, but there are so many lies that the media is spewing about this, and they've been doing it from day one. But Massie felt like this was his holy grail to take up this cause, when I guarantee you, if you took a poll in Kentucky tonight and you asked the Kentuckians on a list of 1 to 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned with you are about a dead pedophiles list, it might register up there maybe a 7 or an 8 down on the list, but it's not the important thing about what they want. He wouldn't even vote for tax cuts. James, he didn't vote for the big, beautiful bill. He withstood ICE. He voted for the defunding of ICE. He voted with the Dems on government shutdowns. This guy was a pathetic piece of garbage politically to the president. And it wasn't just the president, it was his own constituents. And I'm glad the bum's gone. I am. I'm glad he's gone. And he should have been gone a long time ago. But I'm glad he's gone tonight. And he's my neighbor to the north, but I've got no sympathy for him tonight. And I got to ask you about something else. But what's your thoughts on that? He didn't represent Kentucky.
Well, he didn't represent. Well, let me qualify that. Towards the latter part of the time he was in Washington, he did not represent his constituents well. He let a personal antagonism for the president get in the way of serving his constituents. And to me that's the great tragedy of Massie. He went to Congress with some really good ideas, and then just sort of gravitated to a position of personal animus, so that he was more willing to work with the Democrats to undermine the president than he was to support the president of his own party, and that's a political tragedy, and it's personified by Massie.
Well, let me tell you what else is personified by Massie. He is a rabid anti-Semite. And he basically, tonight, he is basically accusing Israel of interfering in the elections. Marjorie Taylor Greene went on, I think it was Alex Jones or one of those shows, maybe not Jones, but Piers Morgan, I think, claiming the election was stolen. When you lose by 10 percentage points, MTG, if you being that you're a blonde, maybe you're a little bit too blonde, but if I need to put this in color crown for you, when you lose an election by 10 percentage points, that's not cheating. You've just got a sorry candidate. But the thing that he said, James, that really bothered me after all this was said and done was when he made the comment in his concession speech. He said, I wanted to call Ed Guerin tonight, but I couldn't reach him because he was in Tel Aviv. My phone wouldn't reach to Tel Aviv, which was an absolute slur and an anti-Semitic slur to the fact that Ed Guerin was owned by Israel, that he was owned by the Jews. And I felt that if he had any hope of saving face, that showed the Kentucky voters, y'all did right. This guy's a jerk. And that's what makes us, and my point is this, I'm not trying to pile on Massie, but this is why we cannot stomach politicians. This is why politicians and diapers are changed for the same reason. I need a t-shirt that says that. That's a pretty good soapbox, is that not right?
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Yeah, no, when politicians start to flail and strike out and throw everybody else under the bus, and one of the most popular groups, unfortunately, to throw under the bus these days for politicians in the United States uh, um, uh, is the country of Israel and the Jews in general, and this whole anti-Semitic spirit that is starting to spread in both parties in this country is just reprehensible to watch.
Was that a reprehensible statement that you felt like he made? Because there were some
Yeah,
people out there that
right.
thought it was cute. There was his buddies thought that he wasn't being anti-Semitic, and I vehemently disagree. Yes, it was. It was an anti-Semitic slur.
Yeah, yeah. Whether he intended it that way, whether he was trying to be cute, or whether he was trying to deliver a hidden message there, I'll let for somebody else to decide. But on the face of it, it was definitely a slur against the nation of Israel and the Jewish people.
Well, all I can say is bye 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 Mass. I could form a country song. Goodbye, Thomas. I won't sing it because I get in trouble with the lyrics that I have to put to that tonight. But anyway, I'm in just one of those McFile late night moods. It's about to be midnight here, so you got me in a good.
You could, Chris, you could write a book on the political trajectory, and it's in many cases it's not a very good ending that you have to write for a number of these people that went to Washington as Tea Party, balance the budget types.
That's true. That's a great point.
Many years ago, and for whatever reason, and the personal stories vary from person to person, but invariably, that agenda, which was a worthwhile agenda for its time, got sort of tainted by politics as usual in Washington, and there are not many success stories out of that group.
Why do people get tainted up there like they do? That's a great point you make, and I want to stay on that just for a second. What happens to these people of integrity? Because some of them did start out right, and then they get to D.C. Is it the money or lobbyists, or is it both? What do you think happens to people up in D.C.?
It's a spirit of power, and the once you get inside the Beltway, there's a whole different set of pressures that start to come in. The congressional lifestyle is completely unique, and unless a person is completely grounded in spiritual truth, when they get to Washington, because of all the smut that's there, they are going to be corrupted, and it's very few people that go to Washington that are able to stand up to those sorts of influences that start to come at them from day one once they get inside the Beltway.
I'll agree. I think you're onto something there. Well, it wasn't just Massie Tuesday night. You realize that President Trump was 37-0 Tuesday night? 37 out of 37 candidates that he backed won their primary down in Georgia, Kentucky, Alabama. And then we've got this situation developing in Texas this coming Tuesday between Cornyn and Paxton. Trump backs Paxton. Thune gets mad tonight, sends Congress home, Senate home. The ICE agents are still defunded. Homeland Security is still defunded. Thune, as good as admitted tonight, is retaliation for Trump backing the outsider Paxton over the elite establishment candidate Cornyn. And it's very likely that Ken Paxton is going to win that primary and go on to defeat this weirdo in Texas. And all these media types that think that Paxton is not going to beat Tareko or whatever his name is, that he believes there's like 6 genders, and he believes Jesus was communist and homosexual and all these crazy things. They're just a bunch of nuts. Whoever comes out of that primary next Tuesday night is going to be the next senator from Texas. But my question to you is, with Trump and having that momentum, should it send a little shockwave to their other rhinos? Cassidy's gone. Massie's gone. We've had other rhinos that have been let go. We've had a lot of, worthless Democrats. Pelosi's gone now. McConnell will be gone next year. Crockett's going to be gone next year. Redistricting's going to probably cost Benny Thompson his seat. Debbie Wasserman Schultz won't be around. James, there's a who's who of people that has been nothing but obstructionists to this agenda of freedom, and I'm okay with that. But should what happened Tuesday night send a message?
Yeah, the question is, what message is it sending? Certainly, you can read the political tea leaves that on the Republican side of the House, at least, there's a price to pay for opposing the president of your own party. And that's the message I think you're drawing from it, and it's probably a valid message, and maybe sends sort of another signal that everybody's seemingly just written off the midterms as a Democratic. There's going to be a groundswell of Democrats that are coming in. It sort of reminds me of the midterms under Biden, when the Republicans were supposed to completely come in and sweep and turn everything around. Do you remember that?
I remember that, and it didn't happen, and people were shocked, and it was because the country wasn't ready. And I think that this time around it's going to be the same thing. I do not believe the country wants to go back to Joe Biden times, James. I hope not. I mean, that's if we put the Democrats back in power, that's what we're going to. We're going back to impeachments. We're going back to hearings. It'll be deadlock. We got deadlock now. It's not like the Republicans are doing much themselves.
Yes, yeah, but you're absolutely right. On day one, it's going to be a replay of all of that impeachment and this, that, and the other. Should the Democrats gain control, and everything worthwhile will just come to a halt in terms of an agenda that I would like to see, at least policy wise, pursued.
Yeah.
And so that's the great fear. But these things may have planted sort of, well, not so fast here. Maybe, maybe this president has a little bit more staying power and support out there that the mainstream media is completely missing, as they're prone to do. And so there's that reading, and then of course there's some of the Democratic mouthpieces are downplaying all of that, and you have Hakeem Jeffries out there making these just ridiculous statements about exacting revenge on MAGA, and it's just politics as usual, But there has been an interesting wrinkle with all of Trump's candidates winning, including some of his most ardent opponents in his own party. It's been an interesting phenomenon.
Yeah. I want to ask you a couple of quick fire questions and then we'll let you go tonight. California is getting ready to vote here. Do you think that Spencer Pratt has a prayer for the mayor? And do you think Steve Hilton has a prayer for governor? Do you think California changes? Or do you think they stay the course and let it keep burning? It's burning, by the way, again. There's fires again in LA and the surrounding areas, and there's still incompetence there, and you're going to be looking at another January 2025 event if they don't get it under control soon.
Well, California never ceases to amaze me on how far from common sense it drifts, and I think that drift will continue myself.
You don't think that Hilton or Pratt have a chance?
No, I don't. But I would be delighted to be surprised in that regard.
Yeah,
I
would
just
too.
don't have any confidence that the Californians just have an endless capacity for shooting themselves in the foot with the people they put in office.
Is it California, or is it just the fact that the left has gotten so entrenched out there that they control everything, and to break that monotony, I don't know what you'd have to do because, look, I don't think election chicanery is all the reason why we lose elections. I believe some of it's voter apathy. Some of it is. But I do believe that there are some states, and California is one of them, that there's a lot of voter fraud. And I've always said this, James, and maybe one day we'll see this before we die. If I felt like, I put it like this, if we was to clean out the voter rolls like we should, and we had one election out there, just one election that was free of complete fraud. In other words, no election, statewide, local wide, straight up federal elections on all the issues with the electorate right, with no fraud in it. I do not believe that we would see a Democrat elected to office in 500 years. I'm going to go further. I believe if the Christians would get to the polls and vote right, I'm not talking about the political direction, I'm talking about righteously, we wouldn't see a Democrat elected for 500 years. But because we've got voter fraud in the ranks, and we've got Christians that stay at home and don't vote or vote for the left, we have these things happen. And, I got some dear friends. We got some dear friends in the chat tonight from California. And they're here every day, and they stay up with us when we stay up late. And but I don't know what's going to break that stronghold other than something spiritual. But there's got to be a changing of the guard at some point, because you're not going to have a state if they're already bankrupt. But the state's burning, man, literally. I mean, physically tonight, it's burning again.
Well, it's like I was in Washington, D.C. when the people of Washington, D.C. reelected Marion Barry as mayor of Washington, D.C., who was captured on film you know,
I remember that.
trying to bribe the FBI,
And
and
convicted of
and
cocaine
and
too.
he would still, be elected by a wide margin in Washington D.C. by the urban communities in Washington D.C. and I think that same phenomena takes place in California. It's just uh, it's as though no political common sense prevails for whatever reason, be it blindness, of the individuals that go to the voting booth, combined with what you're talking about. There are not enough Christians that get up off their tails and off their couch to go vote, and that would make a difference. And so the people that do make it to the polls, are basically just voting their own interests rather than the common sense good of this country and their communities.
Yeah.
And even if you, to follow your point one step further, even if you give that all the graveyard votes are going to go to the one party. It is still, even if you acknowledge the corruption in the system, it is not the corruption in the system that's responsible for every candidate that gets elected out there that has a questionable agenda, political agenda that they're pursuing. It is the nature of politics in a highly populous state that just defies common sense
Yeah,
sometimes.
it is. Final question tonight, and this one is one that we're going to pose to our audience here in a minute. Because audience, if you're with us, stay with us. We're going to be on here for a little while after I let James go because we got some videos to show you and talk about some things. Poll came out yesterday. Fox News had it on this morning. 30% of the country believe that the attack on the Trump ballroom, or not the ballroom, but the correspondence dinner here a month ago was staged. Only, I think, 28% is unsure. So 58% of the country, only 44% were certainly sure that it was not staged, it was real. James, what has happened to this country when we are basically believing falsehoods and conspiracy theories over the assassination attempt of our president? What does that say about the state of affairs and the state of mind of people? That you got people out there that were willing to believe that that was staged, that Trump did this. Literally, what they're saying is they believe Trump staged his own assassination attempt for the third time that this has happened. There's people that believe he staged Butler. What's wrong with this nation? What is wrong with this nation?
Well, it goes to a broader question in my mind. I know you didn't want me to go this direction, but
go the direction you want. Go ahead.
There is a problem in this country with recognizing what is truth from what is falsehood.
Correct.
And a lot of that is the popularity of social media, which blurs the distinction between truth. A lot of it is spiritual blindness because Jesus Christ is truth. And so you have a whole generation of young people that number one can't recognize truth, period. And number two, you have so much disinformation out there that it confuses the situation so that truth is hard to determine in the best of circumstances. And that is the world that we live in. That truth is no longer a valued commodity. Number one, and number two, it can't be recognized. And a part of it is a part of it with government. The government has so consistently lied to people or told half truths for so long that young people and even several generations, below the baby boomers, no longer trust anything that the government says. And so they automatically slip to a default. Well, somebody must be playing another agenda here. Yeah, truth, like Trump's going to arrange things so that he gets, he turns his head just at the right time so that a shot hits his ear instead of hitting him right between the eyes. It is just crazy. Just crazy.
Yeah, well, it's nuts, and these people need mental help. I'm just going to say it. It's McFiles late night, and it's the Mac. McDonald can say what he wants to say. These people are just plain ignorant wretches. They're ignorant fools, and they need some mental help and spiritual help to combined. Some of them just need to get saved. But I think some of the part of the issue, and I'm going to just say this: there was a movement that started in this nation back probably around 2018. I just started this show, and we had some people that trafficked on this show at the beginning. They're no longer with us any longer, and we don't shed too many tears there tonight, but they pushed a lot of QAnon stuff, a Q conspiracy, this Q movement came up. And I think we all got caught up in it at the beginning because Q was pushing things that we wanted to happen, but there was no reality to it. And they couldn't prove a thing they were saying, but people started believing these lies and they started believing these falsehoods. And, John's out there saying, and he's very right on. People believe what they want to believe, James, and they don't want to hear the truth. You're right. I mean, we can't even discern truth from error anymore and good from evil. Brother, you got people calling communism good tonight. Bernie Sanders is upset that we're about to bring a republic type freedom democracy to Cuba. He wants Cuba to stay socialist. And he thinks we're the evil ones for fixing this situation in Cuba tonight. That's a sitting senator of the United States of America, brother. Ilhan Omar is right slap dab in the middle of a multi-billion-dollar fraud case in Minnesota. Amy Bach gets 41 and a half years in prison. And she's out there saying and screaming tonight that Omar knew, Ellison knew, Waltz knew, and they did nothing and they were involved in it. And it's time for them to spend the same link. But you've got people voting her in and her out there, especially saying F you to America. And I'm telling you something, these naturalized people that have come in from other countries, I do not believe they deserve to be running for Congress and the House. And I think that if you're not naturally born here, you don't represent us. I'm sorry. Adios, amigo. That's my soapbox for tonight. Is that a good one? Do I get a 9 out of 10 on that one, or a 10 out of 10 or not?
That's a good one. In my mind, and you've heard me say this, if I was king for a day, every one of them would go home, and the only way they come back to represent this country is if they actually love the country and regard this country's welfare superior to their own political agendas.
And I'll tell you what else. They're not going to lay their hand on that Bible and take an oath on the Bible, then you're not going to be a senator or a sitting representative. I'm sorry. We're a Christian nation here. And it's not that we don't respect your faith, but you're going to respect our faith. We're a Christian nation. We're not here to tell you what to worship and who to worship, but you're not going to tell us to remove God from our government, because the separation of state and religion. Let me tell you the hypocrisy of this, and I'll let you go. All these people that were complaining about what Trump did Sunday, and there were a bunch of them, they were screaming. Well, we can't mix politics with religion. We can't have a rededication, and that hits against the separation of church and state clause. No, it didn't. No, it didn't one bit. No, President Trump was calling this nation back to God who founded this country. And I guarantee you these same people that were screaming that would not scream that if President Trump would have got up Sunday and said, we're going to dedicate this country to Allah, or we're going to have a day of Muslim Ramadan. You mentioned the Hajj. That's a Muslim tenet, by the way. It's one of the, for those that don't know, that's the pilgrimage that they make to Mecca and Medina every year, and Ramadan. And if he would have been celebrating Ramadan, there would nobody be screaming that. It's only when Christian faith is pushed. Let me tell you something. God never intended for us to be separate of God and state. The state has no business in the church, and the church has no business in the state. But it does have a business. God does have a place in our government. And we don't need to be ashamed about it. And we don't need to be silent about it. And we don't need to let other false religions run the show. Because it's a false God, James. It's false gods, false religion. And God's not going to bless it. He's not going to bless it. So, I'm with you. I think you're right on about this good and evil. But I think that if we don't get down to a dose of truth and reality and understand and start calling good evil and evil, or stop calling evil good and good evil, we ain't going to make another 250. And we may not even make another 20. And we may not even make another 5, man. We ain't going to have a country. We ain't going to have a country. That's my final thoughts. You good tonight? Yeah. You want to wrap us up real quick?
That's a good thought. There needs to be a return to a basic concept in this country, young and old, recognize truth when they see it. And the only way to do that, I would respectfully suggest, is that if this country returns to Jesus Christ, then that is a tall order. Because judgment begins in the house of the Lord, and the plain truth of it is that people are not getting truth in the churches that they go to these days.
Bingo. No, that's where it starts, James. That's where I'll lay this fault at. If the pulpits of America would preach the true gospel and let the convicting power of the Holy Ghost get a hold of this nation, you wouldn't be seeing fake revivals. You wouldn't be seeing this stuff in Congress. You wouldn't be seeing the fraud and the corruption, because I'm going to tell you something. This country would be on its knees repenting of all these things. We'd be turning from our wickedness, and God would heal this land. And we would be a proud nation that would be considered worthy of his glory and worthy of his praise again. And until we do that, we can't expect this world to change if the church is basically pushing the same false ideology and pushing communism, pushing socialism on its congregants, which it is. There's many pastors that are in their pulpits pulling for the communist and socialist takeover of America. And that is wickedness beyond degree when God's people are involved in it. And that's my final thought tonight. Man, it's good stuff tonight. Listen, I hope to see you back here next week. We'll get you on one of the nights next week, and hopefully see you in person next Friday night. We're going to work on that, okay?
That sounds good. Let me put a shameless plug in. I just wrote a missive, just a short thought piece that's posted on my website, and it's about the Trump-Xi summit in Beijing last week, and I compare it to the opening of China by Richard Nixon and the Kissinger activities more than 50 years ago now. I think it's a real good piece. I think that your listeners would enjoy it. You can find it at Jeemes Akers, JeemesAkers, all one word, .com. And that's my website, and I think your folks would really enjoy reading the piece.
I think they will too, man. Now, in my case, I hope you did the color crown version, because there's rumors I can't read. So can I even understand it? So I'm just asking for a friend, okay? So, all right, buddy. Listen, get some rest. I'm glad I didn't put you to sleep tonight. You had fallen asleep on me Tuesday night, so I'm glad I got you before you went to bed tonight. Appreciate you being with me, man. We love you as a friend. God bless you, and I'll see you next week, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Looking forward to it, Chris.
You too, buddy. Good night, Jeemes. Jeemes Akers, everybody. Put some fire in that house. We're so grateful for him. It's 12:05 in the East. We are officially into Friday, the 23rd day of May. 52324. Boy, that sounds prophetic. 52324. Or, I'm sorry. I don't know what year it is. 52326. Too many tabs open. All righty. We're grateful to have Jeemes Akers. He did a great job as always tonight. Good looking picture of him there. And I want to read just a couple of comments that Saul in the House. And don't go anywhere. We're going to be here for a few more minutes. If you'd like to chime in and have a question or say something tonight, John, your question is right on spot, or statement. People don't believe the truth. When they hear it, people believe what they want to hear and believe, and that's exactly right, friend. They do. Stephen, your statement, your question was, would Saudi Arabia end their relationship with the U.S. if Trump goes ahead and attacks Iran this weekend? I don't think they're going to end their relationship. Look, the Saudis don't realize this. I don't trust the Saudis, to be frank with you. I don't trust them past this camera. But the thing about the Saudis is that they have just as much to lose. If Iran gets that nuclear bomb, Trump said it today. He literally said it today. If they get that bomb, there's going to be nuclear war in the Middle East, folks. These mullahs are that crazy. They're that nutty. And these same countries that are resistant, in Pakistan, is sticking knives up our backs, telling the Iranians to bring their jets over there and hide them in Pakistan while America's bombing them so they can save face and save their military. With friends like that, folks, we don't need any enemies. To answer your question, Stephen, I don't think they're going to end their relationship. They can make it very hard with the gas. They're not helping us anyway. We don't get any gas from the Strait of Hormuz. We're trying to help the Saudis. What we're doing is trying to help them. But that's the nature of the Middle East. That is just the nature of the beast in the Middle East. I don't think they're going to end their relationship with us now. They depend on us for too much. And look, Saudis are dishonest and not trustworthy, but they're not stupid. They know eventually that if they back Iran in this, Iran is not their friend, because it's two branches of the Muslim tree. There's Shia and Sunni. And the Islamic flavor of Saudis, I think, is Sunni. In Iran, it's Shia, which is the more militant brand. And they don't mesh. It's what happened with Iraq. Iraq was Sunni. Iran was Shia. And that's why them two countries went at each other for all those years in the 1980s. And there's no friendships in the Middle East. And it's prophetic. On a Bible nugget time tonight, God told Abraham about his son Ishmael. He said his brother's hand will be upon him. And that was not it was not a prophecy talking about his brother's arm being around his neck. No, it wasn't. That's not what kind of prophecy it was. God was basically telling Islam, you're going to be fighting with your brothers all the time. And that's exactly what the Middle East has been, folks, since the days of Muhammad. That's all it's been. It's been one big bloodbath. It's not just been Israel. They hate Israel with a passion. That's one thing that unites the Middle East. That's the only thing that unites them. When Israel's not in the equation, they'll kill each other. They kill each other. So, to answer your question, I don't think they would do that. I don't think they're that stupid. They might huff and snuff and snort and threaten publicly, but I think deep down inside they know they need America to protect them from Iran just as much as they know that they need Israel on their side too. They may not love Israel, they may hate Israel's guts, but they recognize that Israel is right now their best friend. Their best friend right now. What does that say? What does that say about the messed up Middle East? I mean, think about it, But anyway. All righty. Any other questions? 2226. Yeah, Wesley, I misspoke there. You're right. It's 2226. Anything in Facebook tonight, real quick? I'm going to take your questions. I'm going to play a few videos and get you out of here on this Friday morning, because we got a big day ahead of faith today and tonight. Good to see Anna. Sarah Piglia, good to see you, dear. She lives out in Texas. Good to see you, friend. Pat Isaacs, good to see you. John, Lori, Rodora, Dennis Floyd's in the house tonight. Debbie Courtwright, good to see you guys. Tim Neal, good to see y'all. Really, really mean that. Couple of news stories that I want to share with you. This is this is Elon Omar. I got to read you this. This is funny. For those of you that don't know, President Trump's son, Don Jr., is going to get married this weekend. And Trump even said this today. He said, if I do attend it, they're going to scream and yell about it. If I don't go, they're going to scream and yell. And sure enough, Ilhan Omar was out there today criticizing the president of all things for not going to Don Jr.'s wedding. And Nick Swarter, he's a great ex-account. He says Democrats are giving Trump a hard time for not publicly committing to attending Don John Jr.'s wedding. Ilhan Omar called him, quote, the worst parent in the world. And this is Nick's question for Elon. Did your parents attend your wedding? Oh, man, this is brutal. When you married your brother. And Nick's right. Because if 47 did go, she'd be on that camera whining that he was taking time off of this dangerous time in the country to go attend his son's wedding. You know, I remember when Munich, when the situation happened with the Olympics in 1972, Golda Meir faced something very similar. Her sister had just died. She attended her sister's funeral. And the press in Israel that year criticized her for going to that funeral in the midst of the tragedy with Munich. And folks, it's sad that our leaders cannot be human. That no matter what they do, where they go, what they say, what they wear, is always under criticism. Criticism, 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 criticism. And all they're trying to do is serve the country. We out here in the public should be ashamed of ourselves for acting like that. We should be ashamed of ourselves for doing the things that we do and saying, and these godless representatives, such as Ilhan Omar, who, by the way, needs to be in jail. I hope that J.D. Vance follows through with his promise tonight. He's planning an investigator in this fraud. And speaking of which, let me go to our newswire tonight. A couple of stories I want to show you. I don't know if any of you are race car fans, but Kyle Busch tonight died. He had been sick a little bit, but 41 is a very young age. And this is out of the Gateway Pundit tonight. Let me refresh this. He is actually... was one of the leading NASCAR people. There's Spencer Pratt tonight. Colbert ends the show. He's gone. And there's other stories out there. I don't want to get into... I'm going to talk about this story here, then Blue, tomorrow night, more about the Rhino Republicans. But this is Marco Rubio there about Cuba tonight. But this is Ilhan Omar. And she used a word I don't want to use, but she says she responded on Wednesday to Vice President Vance's telling reporters that the Justice Department is investigating whether she married her biological brother to commit immigration fraud. The Gateway Pundit reported that Vance delivered this press briefing on Tuesday, where he said the allegation against Omar is something the Department of Justice is looking into. If we think there's a crime, we're going to prosecute that crime. And there he is right there. And now she's making it out that they're doing it because she's Muslim. And she said it's just a very bigoted lie. It's disgusting. Calling the accusation fake, practically daring the DOJ to investigate her. These people are disgusting. They believe in weird, creepy things, and that's why they won't believe in this weird something. That's all I will say. They're racist. They're xenophobic. I just happen to be Muslim. Yeah, I mean, they're just disgusted, bigoted people. And that's all I got to say. So let her say it. It's okay, Elon. We'll see. I'm not even worried about that part as much as I am this right here. 41 years in prison. The mastermind between the Feeding Our Future Somali fraud, Amy Bach, was convicted and sentenced over a $250 million scam. Folks, that's a lot of time. She is, I think, in her 40s. She will not see the light of day pretty much the rest of her life. That is as good as a life sentence. But the fraud was centered in Minnesota's large Somali community where Ilhan Omar serves. It was handed down today. It was over her role in a massive scheme that fraudulently billed taxpayers for tens of millions of meals that were never provided to low-income children during the pandemic. Bach, who founded Feeding Our Future, was convicted in March 25 on multiple counts, including conspiracy, bribery, wire fraud. She had been the central figure coordinating the operation that exploited relaxed federal rules during the COVID-19 emergency. And here's the Fox News report.
A Minnesota judge has just sentenced the mastermind behind the Feeding Our Future fraud scheme, Amy Bach. She just got more than 41 years in prison. The prosecution is asking for a 50-year sentence and her defense about 3 years. So that's somewhere in the middle that they got that, but closer to what obviously the prosecution wanted. The scheme involved the theft of nearly $250 million in COVID funding. That money was meant to feed hungry children. State leaders claim they were unaware of the fraud. Here's what Amy Bach told our Alexis McAdams from jail back in January.
I honestly believe Keith Ellison and Governor Walz need to be held accountable.
And that goes on a little bit. I'll just read you what she said there. She says she struggles to believe Ilhan Omar did not know what was happening. She claimed Omar's office repeatedly intervened to keep the lucrative waivers in place, allowing fraudulent billing to continue. And Omar's name appeared in emails and messages entered as evidence during the trial, and she even filmed a promotional video at one of the fraudulent sites, the Safari restaurant in Minneapolis, claiming it was serving thousands of meals a day to get money. The Minnesota Housing Fraud and Prevention says that they've already concluded that Omar, along with Governor Walz and Attorney Ellison, quote, played critical roles in creating and enabling the fraud. My question tonight is very simply this. If they enabled the fraud and they were part of it, why are they not in that jail with her? Why are they not in that jail with her? And they should be. But there's a new sheriff in town, and we're going to follow that story. We'll have more about that tomorrow night. This is Mr. Thomas Massie. By the way, before I do that, Maria Salazar, this is her message to Cuba tonight. And Raul Castro, roll the tape.
And this is the message to the Castros. Look at Maduro. President Trump gave Maduro the opportunity to go with his wife, with his family, somewhere else, and with the millions that he stole from the Venezuelans. But Maduro thought that he was smarter than President Trump. So I'm talking to Raul, to the cousin, to the nephew, to the son, and to the grandson. Pay attention and look what happened to Maduro. It's time for you guys to go because there is a new sheriff in town, and that sheriff is Donald Trump. And he is going to be able to do and be willing to do what no other president, 10 presidents, Democrats and Republicans, dare to do with Cuba, which is to make it a friendly country for the benefit not only of the Cubans, of the Americans. Because if you think about it, when President Trump said that his agenda was America first, this is indeed what's happening. Cuba is the mothership of evil in the Western Hemisphere. Cuba only exports terror. And when Trump said that the Western Hemisphere was important, because it's just like what Marco Rubio was saying, that the proximity of the Western Hemisphere is so close to the homeland that we need to protect it. So this is what's happening right now. Cuba, after the Castros, will be a friend to the United States on the economic front, on the security front, on the political front, on the immigration front. So that's why we thank you, Mr. Trump, for taking this action and for making the Cubans free again and to dear friends of the United States.
Yep, and we're going to have more on that tomorrow night, I'm sure. By the way, this is Marjorie Taylor Greene telling the world that the election in Kentucky last night was stolen. Where's Miller at? By the way, it's good to see Cleo in the house tonight. I want to say thank her for being with us on this late night. She's always up late with us when we're up late. It's daytime in Australia. It's always good to see her. Miller would say this, though, on this video right here. You can't make this stuff up, McDonald. Well, we're not making it up. This is out of her own mouth.
We just watched Thomas Massie's election. I'll say it rigged and stolen. I have no problem saying that. I don't care who attacks me over that. I know what I saw happen, and I think the country knows what they saw happen. And nobody can deny it. And that's what everyone is talking about ever since it happened on Tuesday, is that this is all too extraordinary to be believable. And Ed Gallerin, which is basically a warm body pumped up by money from Israel, with a Donald Trump rubber stamp on his forehead, somehow won an election with a historic turnout. No, I'm not buying it. No, I don't think anyone else is either.
We're not buying you, Margie T.G. I can't believe that she'd be that stupid to say such. I guess I should lower my expectations. This is Massie and Borana. This is why I lost right here. Roll tape.
I saw that bothered me were the names of at least 6 men that have been redacted that are likely incriminated by their inclusion in these files.
I mean, there are 6 men, some of them with their photographs that have been redacted, and there's no explanation why those people were redacted. And Thomas discovered it through his MIT logic. Some of the,
What information did you see that led you to believe that those 6 men were implicated in Epstein's crimes?
It's a list of 20. You can actually, I'll direct you to the unredacted or the redacted file. It's a list of 20 individuals. 3 or 4, Maxwell and Epstein are on the list, and maybe 1 or 2 other people. And everybody else is redacted, and their names are redacted, but it also includes 20 pictures, 20 photographs. And they're sort of mugshots. They're not the best pictures. I'm not sure if they were mugshots or not. But there are at least 3 or 4 males in the photographs. I couldn't verify by looking at their names because they have foreign names. I couldn't verify by looking at their names that they were male until I went and looked at the photographs.
Okay. Now, we're going to play, we're going to find the video for tomorrow night, because we're going to, tomorrow night be a news wrap-up show before we do our watch at midnight. The people that they just mentioned, the 6 names that they were trying to hint to, come to find out, were implicated to be innocent, and they slurred those men. And Massie's rabid drive to destroy Trump led him to destroy himself. Did you hear Marjorie Taylor Greene, who she blamed? She claimed basically Israel rigged the election. That Israel was the one that caused this to happen last night with Massie. There are no words that I can use on this network to say what I want to say about that, but I'll let you make your own call about that. We got a lot more about this tomorrow night coming. A couple of quick things I want to show you, and we'll talk about this. Will be coming tomorrow night. By the way, the only people, if you don't think there's grifters that are out of here, you see that? You see those folks right there? That is the grifting class of 2026. Those are the grifters of the internet. And a lot of those folks don't just have Trump derangement syndrome. They've got Israel derangement syndrome. Tucker Carlson was upset last night. Candace Owens was upset last night. Megyn Kelly was upset last night. Joe Kent was upset last night. Marjorie Taylor Greene was upset. Lauren Boebert. I didn't see Stu Peters' crazy stuff. Alex Jones, his show's gone. Adios, Alex. Nobody cares. But that's the grifter class of 2026. And that's what they are. They are grifters. Just as Hunter Biden's take on the assassination, you can't make this stuff up either.
I mean, whether it's Butler or Charlie or these things that it's just not right. And I mean, it's so glaringly not right. It's almost as if they're just saying,
F
like,
you.
F you.
They're not even
I don't
trying.
care.
We don't even get good psyops anymore. And that's what I keep saying. I'm like, it's so disrespectful that we're not even getting good psyops anymore. Like we're supposed to believe he survived 4 assassination attempts, the first president that's ever survived 4 assassination attempts.
Yeah.
They lie to us about things, they make a big deal, and then they make it want to, it's going to go away. They're going to keep pretending and telling us that this is a totally normal grieving widow. Okay. No one's buying that. Like that something's just not right here. Everyone can see that this is not how you would react to your husband being shot. And this sort of just, I'm fine. And I like 2 weeks later, I fully accept the narrative. I have no interest in anything else. It's over. Let's close it. I forgive him. Let's move on. You're asking us to abandon our common sense and our humanity is what you're asking us to do. And they're that kind of seems like where we're at. Like they're insisting on this. And I'm going, where is this going to go? Because we're not doing the thing they want us to do. Like they are just constantly giving us slop all the time. I mean, even the recent White House Correspondents' Dinner, there was so much theater to it after, so much theater. And now it's kind of, okay, Secret Service maybe shot each other and we're just going to kind of quietly move on. But Trump needs the ballroom. Like that's a normal reaction. Hey, there's a shooting duck. Hey, well, we better get that ballroom.
And by the way, it's going to cost $1 billion now. And by the way, it's not from donors. And by the way, we're going to do it. Like, it's just the constant, like, talk about gaslighting.
This has been just this, and we're not even, are we even a year into Trump's second term?
We're a little over a year.
A little over a year in the second term.
I do not understand how that woman has the followers they do. By the way, for you folks that follow that crap, you're worse than she is. I'll just say it like that. I shouldn't say that maybe, but you got some Christians that believe all that's normal. That's Hunter Biden, by the way, for those of you that don't know that. That's Mr. Meth Head himself. That's Joe Biden's son. And she's painting him out like some bastion of truth, questioning the validity of these assassinations. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. But, you know, this is a free country. I guess I should not say anything about the people that listen to her. This is a free country. You can listen to who you want to listen to, I guess. But enjoy grifthood. Enjoy oblivion. We don't traffic in that. I've literally got out of 9 votes, we've got some people voting in this poll that they don't believe that this was real. Wow. I'm just unbelievably floored that somebody would believe that these were not real. You have to be a pretty special kind of something to say stuff like that. And you're entitled to your opinion. Can't buy common sense. You can't buy a brain. All right, any questions tonight? You guys, your turn. I got 15 minutes, 10 minutes at the most, 5 minutes at the most. Bold-faced liar, Jenny, good to see you. Good to see you tonight. God bless your friend. She is a bold-faced liar. Pat Isaacs, we got rid of McConnell and Massie. Now we just need to get rid of Andy Bashir. Yep. Vote him out. Vote him out. And Rand Paul, too. Vote him out. Vote them out. If you got a statement, any statement tonight, put it in the House. Put it in the House. Unbelievable that we would literally have anybody claiming that they don't believe Trump's assassinations was real. I was doing it as a joke. I guess I need to lower my expectations. Any questions tonight? Any statements? Anything in YouTube tonight? Come on. Giving you your shot. Giving you your shot. 82 to 18, 11 votes. 77 now to 23 out of 14 votes. Do you think the attempts on Trump's life were real? I am absolutely blown away that people would literally even consider the fact that he would stage these. I am blown away. 75-25. Voting for Paxton in Texas, Carol Jordan. Carol, good for you. You need to. You need to. Paxton or Cornyn? Got 5 minutes, guys. I'm giving you a shot tonight. Say what you got to say. It's all right. For those of you that think the assassination was staged, I guess you have a reason why you feel that way. Please let me know. Of course, I know you probably won't. Anybody else? Any comments? Any questions tonight? Probably should have put that poll up earlier. We'll try that again tomorrow night. Any questions? Good to see everybody in the house tonight. Well, I don't seem to be getting any questions. So, we're going to call it a night. Listen, we're grateful for all you guys, and we hope that you've enjoyed the shows tonight. We've had 2 great guests, Jeemes Akers and Franklin Insert tonight. tremendous. 79-21 looks like it's going to be the final out of 20 votes. We're going to take this poll again, 80-20. So that means if 20% of you, that means that's about four or five of you out there that believe that Trump's attempts were fake. Whew. Okay. That's why we have directions on Pop-Tarts. That's all I got to say. All right. Listen, I better get out of here. It's late night. McDonald's in a late night mood. We have another one, but tomorrow night, we won't have a late show like this. We'll have a news wrap-up, so probably around 8:30 or so. And then I want you to join me tomorrow night at midnight on the Faith side, on the Spirit and Word Fire Network. We're going to be having a Watch of the Lord. And we want you to come over there, worship with us all night long. We'll go till the day dawns on Saturday morning. And we want you to pray for this country. Pray for President Trump. Pray for Israel. Pray for our nation. Pray for our land. And just pray for each other. We'll be praying for the sick. We'll have some testimonies. We'll let you pray. It's going to be a great night. And Saturday night, gospel sing. Then we got Sunday morning, Pentecost Sunday. Pentecost Sunday. And it's really Pentecost week starting Sunday. And we're going to have a lot of faith shows on the Holy Spirit in June. Our sermon series will be on the Holy Spirit all month, unless the Lord leads us to teach something else from time to time. So whatever you do, be with us. It's going to be a great month of faith, great week of faith, and we're grateful that you've been with us tonight on this Thursday, now Friday. 21 votes, 81-19, and I'm going to end the poll. We're going to take that poll again. We'll put that poll back up tomorrow night. I was actually doing it just out of morbid curiosity. I probably shouldn't have. I overestimated that somebody out there would literally think that that was faked. I cannot believe, and believe what you want to believe. Let me make it clear where we stand. President Trump liked to die 4 times, folks. This is why this country is in the spiritual abysmal state it's in, that people would believe such lies. It's nothing but lies. And they that are of the devil, they that are of their father, believe the lie. They that are of their father, the devil, that's what they believe. That's what they believe, because Satan is the father of it. So, that's my opinion. You can have yours and I can have mine. How about that? We'll shake hands and hug necks later. But for you to believe such, you're of your father. All right, I'll leave that one alone. It sort of irritates me that people would even remotely entertain that. But that's the state of affairs in this country tonight. That's the state of affairs. I know a majority of you don't, which is good. But that's just an illustration. I'll put it like this. That's an object lesson to all that's listening to us tonight of where people's minds are. That people would even entertain such. That was sort of the reason I did it. All right, I'm going to zip my mouth up. My wife was up. I could see her right now. So don't make me cut your tongue out. It's a good thing she has to get up early in the morning. She's already in bed. So I'll try to keep her away from the replay in the morning, because you listen to the replay in the morning. I'll say, just listen to the early show again. She'll say, just cut your tongue out. Stop. Just stop while you're ahead. So I'm going to stop while I'm ahead. I love you all tonight. I really do. God bless you. God bless your families. God bless this great nation of America. Another day, we go at it in the morning. See you tomorrow night with the news wrap up. We'll play some more video, talk about the news. We may have a guest tomorrow night. We may surprise you. And then we've got Watch of the Lord tomorrow night. Please be with us for this midnight, folks. You won't regret it. It's going to be a great time to pray for our country. Come together and fellowship and worship. And may the Lord bless you tonight out there. Have a good night. Take care. Good night.